Hey guys, welcome to step 13. So in this step, I'm going to share with you how you can get access to large amounts of money, large amounts of cash to use to build your business. And this is really, really important because as an entrepreneur, someone once said to me, it's not about being a person of resources, it's about being a resourceful person. So I will explain more of that as we go on. Less than 25.5% of people ever make it this far, so keep it up, you're doing amazing. So here's what we're going to be talking about in this step. I'm going to share with you how to get access to large amounts of funds to start and maintain your business, reasons why you need financing, what do you actually need it for, and why lack of money should never, ever, ever be an excuse to build your business. So in previous steps, I asked you to get really clear on what it is you want out of your business and also what it is you want out of life. And now I'm going to ask you, how serious, how committed are you to actually making those changes? What are you prepared to actually go and do? I asked you to think about your financial targets and to really push yourself to think big. What I've learned over the years is that all entrepreneurs, they want to make it big, but the truth is not all of them, in fact, the majority of them are not really willing to do what's required. They almost look at business success like it's winning the lottery, like it might happen or it might not, and that nothing that they do can change that. And nothing could be further from the truth. If you want what the top 1% of the wealthiest people have, then you've got to be willing to do what the other 99% of people won't do. And most people are not willing to invest in their business. They're just not willing to do what's actually required. So what I want to do is I want to introduce you to some famous entrepreneurs in this step who did do what is required and show you where they are now. Now, every single one of them was at a point where you are today. They needed to find the resources necessary to get started, and keep in mind that none of them had the resources that they needed in the very beginning. But none of them let that get in their way either. Before I introduce you to these people, let's actually look at what does the word entrepreneur actually mean. An entrepreneur is someone who gets paid to solve problems. That's really what we're in the business of doing. We solve problems, we solve challenges, and then other people buy our products, our services to get those solutions. So lack of funding, that's just a challenge. And if you can't solve that challenge, then really you're not thinking like an entrepreneur should. We should always be thinking, how do you overcome challenges and how do you solve problems? The most famous entrepreneurs solve really big problems, and that's why they can get paid up to billions of dollars. So here's just a few examples of famous entrepreneurs you might recognize, like Warren Buffett, Michael Jordan, Donald Trump, Mark Zuckerberg, Elizabeth Holmes, Richard Branson, and many others. One of my favorite stories is that of Reed Hastings. He's a billionaire, the guy who started Netflix, and he solved the problem of having to pay late fees for DVDs. That was a big problem for a lot of people who would go back to the video rental store, they would hand in their DVDs, and they would get penalized with a late charge. He came up with the service Netflix, where late fees, they were just a thing of the past. You would never have to put up with that, and because of that, he's now a billionaire. That was one of the main problems that he solved. Steve Jobs of Apple, he solved the problem of having to buy music albums with 15 songs in them just to get the one song that you wanted in the first place by inventing iTunes. Here's another example. Howard Schultz of Starbucks, he solved the problem of not having a wide selection of quality coffee available to cater to people who had a more discerning taste in their coffee. So again, these are just examples of challenges and problems that entrepreneurs faced. And like I said before, if you can't solve the challenge of not having enough money, then that's not a good sign. It's just a challenge that you have to find creative ways to solve. That's all it is. Now, by the way, I just want to address something. If you think that this step about raising money and being a resourceful person is just here because I want you to find the money to invest in our core curriculum training programs, I just want to address that. Number one, yes, that's part of it. I think that our core curriculum training programs will give you what you need to go and build your business. But it's much, much bigger than that, because even putting MOB aside, if you want to be an entrepreneur, if you have big dreams about this business that you're going to build, at some point you are going to have to solve this challenge of not having enough money. All entrepreneurs go through this. So this step, it's bigger than just investing in MOB, it's way beyond that. It's about investing in your business and doing whatever it takes to actually go and find the funding, to find the resources to bring your idea to life. And you might be wondering, well, what do you need this money for? Well, number one, if you want to build a team, it's going to be very important. You cannot build a big business all by yourself. Now, in the very beginning, yes, you can bootstrap, you can play a lot of different roles, and you can do it. But at some point, you are going to need to bring on additional help. For example, Mobe today wouldn't even be 1% the size it is today if I didn't have a team. I have a team of over 175 people behind me who do a lot of the things that you see that Mobe as a company puts out there. And I just couldn't do it without them. Okay, so I needed funding to actually build that team. Now, if you're a Mobe consultant, you don't have to do a lot of the different parts of building an online business. You don't have to create products. You don't have to be doing live events. You don't have to be doing so much customer support. We're doing a large amount of that for you. But I'm talking about business in general. You do need to build a team. You will need funding to do that, especially if you want to take it to the 7-figure, 8-figure level and above. You're also going to need funding for your advertising. Now, there are free traffic strategies out there that really they just require your time. We will share those with you in the 30-step traffic training, which you complete after these 21 steps. But if you want to reach your goals, your income targets in Mobe, it's a lot faster when you have some funding to invest into your advertising. So that's another reason why you need to come up with funding. You need to advertise. No business can grow without advertising, without getting leads coming in the front door. And also, it really helps when you have the funds to invest in your own training. Even today at this level, Mobe, it's done over $100 million in sales, and even though we've had a lot of success, I still continue to invest in my own education. In fact, I spend a lot more today than I did right in the beginning, way more. And every single year that we grow, I invest more and more money into my own self-education. Here's an example of someone that I paid a lot of money to for consulting. This man, who you can see he's giving me this certificate right here, I graduated from his Castle experience, which is like a 7-day training boot camp. And the investment to even go to this was about $22,000. And you can see there's me in front of his castle. Notice the Rolls Royce and the Ferrari in the back. This is a man who built a company to having a valuation of over $400 million. So I paid him a lot of money, not just for that castle experience, but also for some ongoing consulting to figure out, well, what do I need to do to take my company to the next level? So being able to come up with the funding to invest in yourself is also incredibly important. Warren Buffett, who's a multi-billionaire, one of the wealthiest people on the planet, he said that the most valuable investment you ever make is in yourself. Now, my belief is that if you want to come up with the money badly enough, you will always find a way, okay? Never underestimate how strong human will can be when there's a big enough desire. In fact, at some of our live seminars, I often tell a short little story just to really make a point. I say to them, I want you to pretend that somehow you were diagnosed with a life-threatening disease and you only had 7 days to live and there was no cure for it. Now, I want you to pretend that 5 days into that, you're starting to panic because you've got 48 hours left to live. And you get a phone call, and the phone call is coming from your doctor who tells you, I've got great news. Some scientist in some other faraway country, they've discovered this miracle cure, and with one injection of this miracle cure, you would be set for life. You would actually be able to go on living, and this disease would go away. So you've got 48 hours to live, and then they tell you that the bad news is this injection, this shot, is going to cost you $40,000. It's going to cost you $40,000. You need to come up with $40,000 if you want to get cured and live. Now, you had 48 hours left. Would you be able to find the $40,000? The truth is, if your life depended on it, absolutely you would. So as you can see, it's never a question of if you can come up with the funding. The question is always of, is the desire strong enough? That's what it all comes down to in the end. One of the first clues to me as to whether someone's going to succeed in business or not is how easily they are stopped in the event of challenges. So as soon as a small challenge comes along, do they start whining and saying, oh, I can't do this, I can't move forwards? Or do they think like a true entrepreneur and think, okay, How do I find a way around this challenge? How do I go around it, over it, under it? What's the solution here? True entrepreneurs will always find a way. Even for me, when I was starting out, I remember a time when I had run out of money and I couldn't afford to go and advertise online. And I even remember a day, this would have been back in maybe 2009, when I wanted to buy a coffee and I had about $1 in my wallet. I'm not joking here, I had $1 in my wallet and I had my credit card. My credit card had about $2.50 left on it. And I remember having to ask the person behind the till to take my dollar and then to put the rest on my credit card. And feeling a little bit embarrassed about that, but I just tell you that story because there was a point in time where that's how I was living. I was literally living paycheck to paycheck and I could barely afford to pay for the next week's in rent. But even back then, I didn't let that stop me from building my business. I would find ways to come up with the funding. Back in those days, I took extra jobs, gardening and mowing lawns and doing things like that just to get cash coming in so that I could afford to advertise my business. That's how I got my online business off the ground. Here's a great quote by Robert Kiyosaki. He says, "Instead of saying, 'I can't afford this,' a better thing to say, a better thing to ask is, 'How can I afford this?'" He says, "Change your words and you will change your life." Take, for instance, Fred Smith of FedEx. He's now worth billions of dollars, and at one point he had an idea that people would be willing to pay more for overnight delivery. So here's an example. Jeff Bezos, the guy behind Amazon.com, a multi-billion-dollar company, one of the largest companies in the world, at one point he didn't have the funding to build his business. He actually had to go and raise money from his in-laws to be able to get Amazon off the ground. And if you get a chance to read the autobiography of Jeff Bezos, I highly recommend it. He tells the whole story of in those early days, he really had to bootstrap to even be able to pay his staff to get the business off the ground. But look at where he is today. Again, all famous entrepreneurs have gone through this. They've had to, at some point, get creative and find ways to raise the money. The most important thing, though, is that you are open to ideas. You approach this with an open mind. What I sometimes see people do is they think, oh, I can't come up with the money, and they just close their mind. They don't even start looking for ways to go and find the money. So you've got to keep your mind open. Trust me, there's billions of dollars out there looking for a home. You just have to be creative enough to find the ways to raise the money. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to play a short segment from one of our live event trainings where we were talking about this very topic, and I want you to listen to all the different ideas that the speaker has for how you can raise money to start your business.
So the thing is, credit cards are designed to do what? Make massive profits for banks, okay? Do we like bankers? Don't they say the W's? Funny. Anyway, so the banking industry, the credit card system is designed to lure you in, make it easy for you to borrow money, and then get yourself into lots of debt. Okay, do you know how much money the banks take in overdraft fees every year? Something like $30 billion. $30 billion from people who don't have any money. How crazy is that? How can that be legal? But this is the way it works. They're going to set you up with a credit card that's going to start getting you into easy money, and then you're going to start wasting money with it, buying doodads, buying liabilities, stuff that's going to cost you money. And then it's never going to actually pay you back. Thank you very much. Then it's never going to actually pay you back. And what's going to happen then, they're going to run up the interest rates, and it's going to cost you a small fortune. You'll end up being bankrupt and losing your house and everything. That's great for the banks, isn't it? Who'd like to play them at their own game and use their money for your advantage? Who'd like to do that? Good stuff. Well, what I'm going to teach now, this is a subject that I teach on the Home Business Summits. This is a 3-day training. This is one of the first things we do, because a lot of people come to us, and we've come through this is the experience that we've had through the events. People come to us at the end of the weekend and say, listen, I'd love to get more involved, but if you'd have taught me this on day one, we'd have been in a better position to do it. So I'm doing this through your experience, through the feedback that we've had from people. People want to know this early days. If you've got access to money that you can invest in your business, what could you potentially do with that right now? What could you invest it in? Buying traffic, marketing, your business, okay? And if you invest it into your business, what's that going to do for you? Make money, okay? So on that basis, would it be good to borrow money if it's going to make you money? Cool. You could borrow money and go and buy yourself a plasma screen telly with it, for example, couldn't you? Who's bought a big fancy plasma screen telly in the last year or so? Be honest. Who's bought one of these? Brilliant. How much did it cost you? 500 something. How much did yours cost you? £600. Now that's what it cost, that's what you paid for it. What did it actually cost you though? Think about it. How much time do you spend watching your TV? Everybody, I'm talking to you all now, okay? Because for every hour that you're spending doing that, you're not building your business. And I value my time at least $1,000 to $2,000 per hour. So think about that, how much time you're spending watching the telly, and that's what your time is costing you. That's what it's actually costing you to watch the telly. One of my coaches said to me, just to motivate you, just to keep you focused on your dreams. Who here has got dreams and goals and desires? Be honest, who's got those? And have you got pictures of those kind of things? The beaches, the cars, the houses, the lifestyle and all that. Brilliant. Get them printed off, okay, and get a beach towel. Get yourself a big beach towel. You've all got one of these, yes? And sellotape your pictures to the beach towel. And then what I want you to do is hang the beach towel on your telly, over the top of it like that, okay? So you're looking at your goals and dreams. And next time you want to watch Dead Enders or Procrastination Street or Celebrity Who Wants to Get Out of the Jungle or whatever it's called, you've got to push your dreams and goals and desires out of the way so you can watch that drivel. Is that good stuff or great stuff? Do that, it's good. So who wants some more money and some more time straight away? Perfect, sell your telly. I'm not kidding you. It's a good way of doing it. So who'd like free money? Say yes. Perfect. I spent about $20,000 on my own education a few years ago, and I learned from the author of this book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Has anybody read Rich Dad, Poor Dad? Yeah? Robert T. Kiyosaki. He's a financial expert, but he's very different to most people. And I like the 1%. I like the different kind of stuff. I ran the London Marathon about 5 or 6 years ago. About 5 years ago it was now. And the coach that taught me how to do that teaches people different to most 99% of most coaches. So it's a very, very different way of doing things. And I like that. I like to be the 1%. I like to be different to everybody else because I'm a bit weird like that. Nothing scares me more than being normal. So this guy says, if you want to be rich, you've got to think big. You've got to think differently, okay? And a lot of people follow the same kind of patterns as everybody else because it's normal. Stop being normal. You'll end up like normal people, and that's scary, okay? So what instead? There was an event similar to this that was televised, and there was a lot of financial experts on the stage. And there was a lady that came out of the audience who'd got herself into a lot of debt using credit cards, okay? And everybody had the same piece of advice to her. And what do you think that advice was? Not go bankrupt, but to do what with the credit card? Cut it up. They actually got her on stage with some scissors and started chanting, cut it up, cut it up, cut it up. And everybody's chanting, and all these financial experts are doing the same thing. And Robert Kiyosaki was like this, just stood to one side shaking his head. And the MC noticed this and said, Robert, I noticed you're not partaking in this. Have you got a different view? He says, absolutely I have. He says, with respect, it's not the lady's credit card that's the fault, it's the lady. It's a lack of education. You're sat round about where you are now, okay? So it's a lack of education and lack of knowledge with it. He says, I love my credit card. And he pulled out his platinum credit card. Okay, everybody say, I love platinum. That's for you. Right, okay, so he did that. And he put it on the table. He says, try cutting that up. He had a platinum credit card. Guess what it was made out of? Actual platinum. Okay, so he's got an actual platinum credit card made out of platinum. He said, try and cut that bad boy up. Okay, and he kissed it and he loved it. He says, it's with this credit card that I've got myself financially free. And if you will allow me to teach the lady how to use a credit card, I'll show her how to become financially free within the next 12 months. Would you like to know what he taught her? Yes. Okay, and this is the subject. It's actually amazing. Anybody recognise this fella here? Yes. Who's that? James Caan, formerly from Dragon's Den, yes? Similar kind of story. Robert Kiyosaki got started in business because of his credit cards. James Caan, exactly the same. He was trying to impress a woman. Lads, this is what we do, isn't it? Yeah? So, he was trying to impress his girlfriend at the time, who is now his wife. So it worked. So guys, this is a good idea. Get with this one, okay? She said, I want to get into business. She's into fashion. I want to set up my own shop. So he said, he was giving it the big I am. He was trying to impress her in the early days. He said, I'll finance it, pretending he's got all this money. I'll finance it for you, not a problem. You go and get the shop. So she did. Within a couple of weeks, she went out and got the premises and says, right, I'm ready to go. I need £30,000 to get started. And he went, committed to something he's not got. But he didn't want to lose face. So what did he do? Credit cards. He raised the whole lot on credit cards. He put it into a business, and the business was a success. So he's paid the credit cards off and then some. And he is what he is today because of that initial investment, okay? So what I want to do is I just want to challenge your mindset a little bit, because a lot of people have this limiting belief about credit cards. Those of you that have had problems in the past with the credit cards, it's not the credit card's fault, it's your fault. Whose fault is it? Your fault, always. Okay, good. And acknowledge that. It's because you've played by the bank's rules. You've done what the bank wants you to do. So that's why you've got yourself into trouble, because it's deliberately set up that way. But if you can play them at their own game, you can invest their money into your business to make massive profits. Who here, let me just position this correctly now, who here would borrow money? Let's say you've got no money at all. Who here has got no money, but if they could borrow enough money to go diamond, they would do? Just a show of hands. Okay. So, let's say you've got no money. The only way you can get positioned at diamond, just for argument's sake, you'd need to borrow 50, 60, 80,000 pounds, or whatever it is, from somebody else. Would you borrow that money at 100% interest? Who would do that? One person, smart. You've been through the training before, you've seen this, yeah? Okay, it's the right answer. See how most of you said, ooh, no. Why is that? Why did you say no to that? Scary. Good, okay, that's true. So, but do you think it's about sometimes being brave, not being reckless, but you've got to do something? Is it uncomfortable? Yeah. So you've got to do things that are uncomfortable sometimes, haven't you? Okay? So, would it be a good idea to borrow £50,000 or dollars at 100% interest over 12 months? Not if you can't afford it. So you're already focusing on having to repay the debt. So you're already in consumer mindset, and you're exactly what the banks want you to be. So you're already thinking that you've got to then service the debt, haven't you? Okay, I'm going to change that mindset right now, okay? Because who's going to pay it back? You are. Oh, he is. He's just put his hand up. He's going to pay it back for you, okay? So, this is the key thing, okay? Let me ask you this question. Let's just say you did do that today, and you've committed to borrow 50,000 and pay back. If it's 100% interest, how much do you have to write a cheque for in a year's time? 100,000, okay. So let's say you did that today, but you got positioned at diamond today, and then you applied what we're teaching you this weekend. What are you going to make over the next 12 months? How much are you going to make? Million? 400,000. Is that more than 100,000? Okay. So if it's a million, is that actually 10 times more than 100,000? So on that basis, would it have been a good idea to borrow 50,000 to pay back 100 to make a million? Hello? Is that a good idea? Is that a duh? Obviously I would. It is, isn't it? So who would do that now on that basis? Now you know that. Write this down. Don't ask the price of the shovel when you're digging for gold. It's simple as that. It doesn't matter what something costs. Look at it from a wealthy point of view. Rather than a consumer thinking, oh, that's going to cost me some money on a monthly basis or wherever, look at it from an investment point of view. What's the bigger picture? Do you think there's any big businesses out there that got started without borrowing money? Not really. Who wants to just mess about with this business and just make a few pounds, bit of pocket money? Nobody. You're in the right room. Who wants to go big with this and make some big difference? Okay, so you've got to do something big. It's not going to come from free traffic. It's not going to come from you just playing about with it. You've got to step up and you've got to do this properly. So if you do it properly and treat it like a big business, what are you going to have to do with your business? Commit. Invest in it. Be brave. Be bold. If you invest into something, what are you then going to do with your business? You're going to make it work, aren't you? You're going to give it right because you now know you're committed to something. If we give you diamond positioning for free, what would you then go and do with it? Very little, to be honest with you, because you've not committed to it. So you've got to have some skin in the game. So if you're committed in this way, it gives you a lot more motivation to do well. So let me just explain how this works. So who would borrow, if you could, if it made that kind of difference, $50,000 at 100% interest? Yeah, you'd all do that. So you now get the concept of the benefit. Some of you, not all of you, put your hand up then, but some of you got the concept of borrowing money to invest in your business, yeah? Okay, let me ask another question. Who would borrow $50,000 or pounds today at 0%? Show of hands. Okay, that's cool. So there's more people doing that. You're still focusing on the cost though, right? Come away from that. But what I will do right now is show you how you can do just that. Would you like to know how to borrow as much money as you want for as long as you want it at 0%? Who'd like to do that? Say yes. Cool. Stick with me on this one. I'm reading your body language. I can sense what's going on. Listen, I'm reading your minds. I know what's going on. Some of you, your minds have already left the room. Some of you are thinking, this section's not for me. And I recognise that because that was me sat in this room about 5 or 6 years ago. And I thought, this doesn't apply to me. I've got myself into lots of debt and people I know have done the same thing as well. I'm not going to listen. But he went on and on and on about it for a while. And I suddenly took a bit of stock of this and I thought, hang on a minute, I'm broke. This is a multimillionaire that's teaching me. I'm not in a position to judge whether this is right or wrong. I need to listen to what he's doing. Success leaves clues. And if somebody is successful, they've done something, copy what they've done because it must work. Does that make sense? So stick with me on this one, and I want you to pick this up because this is high value. And if you apply this, it's going to make a huge difference. Isn't it, Peter? Yeah, it's made a massive difference to Peter's life right now. Who's been through this training with me in the past? Who's experienced this? And who's had a positive result on the credit file as a result of it as well? All the same people. Same hands went up, do you see that? So everybody that's gone through this training that just put their hands up has also made a positive improvement to their credit file as well. So I'm going to teach you two things. I'm going to show you how you can get hold of interest-free credit. Who here has got a bad credit rating that you know of? Who knows they've got a bad credit rating? Okay, great stuff. We're going to show you how to improve that as well. So we're going to do both things right now. Excited? Yes. Good, you better be. Right, so step number one is I want you to know what your credit score is. Who can tell me what their credit score is right now? Well done. 2 or 3, that's good. Spot on, quite a lot of you actually. You need to know, first of all, above anything else, what is your credit score? Now, who can tell me the name of any credit reference agencies that are out there right now? Experian is one. Equifax is another. And Call Credit is the other one. Okay? So there's 3 credit reference agencies here in the UK. And each of those carry factual information, historical information about your credit file. So if you've ever borrowed money, it will show up there. If you're borrowing money right now, it will show up there. If you've even applied for credit in the past, it will show up there as a search being made. Okay? Every time a credit company will look at your credit file, it will register that search. It's what we call a footprint. Okay? You don't want to have too many of those because it impacts on your credit score. If you've got too few as well, if you never have any credit search, it shows that you're not active. So it's good to have 1 or 2 searches a month, every month, because it shows you're active with what you're doing. Okay? Secondly, is it good to have lots of debt, lots and lots of different credit commitments? Is that good or bad? It's good, okay? The more you've got, the better it is, providing you're doing what? Maintain the payments, okay? If you were to lend £10 to your best mate and they never give it you back, are you going to lend them any more money? No. If you lent £10 to your best mate and they give you 15 back to say thanks, what would you then do? Do you want 20? Yeah, do you want some more? Do you see where I'm going with this? And think about that, because I'll come back onto that. So, it's good to borrow money as long as you're maintaining the payments. Credit lenders, anybody that's going to lend you money, want to know that you're responsible with money, that you will pay back whatever they've given you in the first place with interest. And they're happy to do that because they can make some profits out of you, okay? So, what I want you to do is go into checkmyfile.com. This is homework for tonight for you all, okay? So this evening I want you to all go onto the website, checkmyfile.com. Checkmyfile.com is not a credit reference agency, but it's a portal that gives you access to the 3 credit reference agencies I just mentioned. So rather than registering for all 3 of them individually, you can do it all through this one site. So it saves you time. It's also free for 30 days. And thereafter you pay about £6 or £7 per month. Okay? Or you can do it, I think, £20 every quarter. There are free versions out there of different sites, but they only register with one of the credit reference agencies. So, again, don't ask the price of the shovel when you're digging for gold. This is the best one, this is the one that you use, okay? So you're all going to do this, yes? Yes. Do this, and I want to know tomorrow that you've done it. When you go into checkmyfile.com, this is probably pretty similar to what it looks like. It's changed a little bit now. But if you have a look on there, you've got a little section at the top. See where it says Find a Credit Card? Can you all see that at the top? The 3rd button along from the left-hand side. It says Find a Credit Card. That is really, really good, because if you want to get a new credit card, and your credit score is less than perfect, the problem with going to the mass market is if you apply for what would be considered the best credit card out there, and your credit score is not quite good enough, they're going to decline you, they're going to say no. So you're then going to have to go to somebody else. And every time you do that, you have a search. And if you go into 3 or 4 places, it now makes you look desperate, so nobody's going to lend to you, okay? What this button does, once you've registered on here, instead of having to go through that kind of process, it will give you a list of the credit cards most likely to accept you in your current circumstances. So even if your credit score is really bad, if you want to get hold of a new credit card, this is where it's going to teach you how to do it. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. So, who here has got a credit card? Show of hands. Awesome, loads of you. Who's not got a credit card? Okay, well done for avoiding that kind of debt. But what is your first task tonight? Get a credit card. Get uncomfortable, get a credit card, okay? You don't have to spend it. Guess what? If you don't spend anything, it's not going to cost you any money. But you're going to thank me later for doing this. So what I want you to do is your homework. You're about 3 people, I think that's all. Go to your own bank, contact them and say, I'd like a credit card, please. Now, you've probably not got one because you don't borrow money. Would that be a fair comment? How old are you? Same age as me. Brilliant, okay? So... I'm 21 years. It's been a long day. I've aged in 2 years. Well spotted. Okay. So, go get a credit card. Go to your own bank, okay? And I'll show you why in a short while. So, who here has got more than 3 credit cards? Keep your hands up if you've got 5 or more, 10 or more. Okay, so you've all got somewhere between 5 and 10 credit cards. Awesome. Your goal, I want you to all have at least 2, ideally 3 credit cards. Okay, so write this down. Your goal over the next few weeks, months, or whatever it's going to take you, I want you to have 2 or 3 credit cards, and you'll see why in a short while. Okay, so step 1 for you. Go on to Check My File, find out what your credit score is. The optimum score is 999. There's 3 credit reference agencies, and you might have a different score with each one, because some credit files, if you've missed the odd payment, it might not register with all 3 agencies. So if you've got a low score with one, but it's quite high with another, it would make sense to know which one to then apply through, if that makes sense. So check out what you've got. There's quite often mistakes on here. So go through every single entry in there and make sure it's all accurate. If your score is less than 999, you need to be doing something towards making it improve. If you're not borrowing money, it's not going to be 999. The only way it's going to be up there is if you've got regular borrowings and you're servicing it and you're on time and you never miss a payment. So it's important to have the flow of money moving. Okay? Everybody okay with this so far? Good, right. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at getting a new credit card. Who here has got bad credit and knows that if they applied for a credit card it's going to get declined? Okay. Your job then is to improve your credit score. And this next slide is for you and you only. Go on to any one of these. I'll tell you what the one is at the bottom. You can't see it because it's come up as a link. It's difficult to see. So these are called Credit Builder credit cards. Now I want you to understand that credit cards are the fastest way to make a difference to your credit file, either good or bad. Okay? So if you want to improve your credit score, use credit cards. If you miss any payments, it's going to affect your score quicker than anything else. Now, Credit Builder credit cards are specially designed for people with poor credit, okay? And they will actually impact your credit score twice as fast, okay? So they're really powerful. Problem with these is they're going to be high interest rates. So the purpose for these cards is not to borrow money, but instead to use it to borrow money and move money around, as you'll see, okay? So what I want you to do is write these down if you've got poor credit. So Capital One. Now, Capital One is a credit card company as opposed to a bank that has credit cards, and there's a subtle difference between the two. And they have a range of credit cards from your platinum, top-end stuff, down to your standard cards, right down to your poor credit cards as well. So you can all apply to this, and they will give you the card that's best suited to you in your circumstances. So that's the top one. If they won't accept you, then Aqua Card, which is part of the Halifax group, they're more likely to. Now, the next one, Vanquis. Granite Card is actually part of Vanquis anyway. But Vanquis is a credit card company. If they don't accept you, nobody will. Okay? It's one of those type of companies. When you apply for this, you might get a credit limit of £50. It's not going to be a huge amount of money. And the interest rate could well be 60%. But does that matter? No. And the reason why is because you're not going to borrow money on it. You're going to use it, but you're not going to keep any balances on there. And that's important. Okay? Now, the bottom one is, it says mycashplus.co.uk. Now, this is the super subprime one. mycashplus.co.uk is guaranteed acceptance. No matter who you are, or what your credit rating is, these will guarantee to give you an acceptance. But it's not actually a credit card, so you can't borrow money on it. You have to prepay money onto it. It's called a prepay card. So you've got to have the money there in the first place before they lend it to you. Sounds a bit bizarre. Why would you do that? Well, it's also going to cost you £5 a month to have it, okay? So if you're so bad you've not even got a bank account, for example, then if you want to make transactions over the phone or through the internet, then you can actually preload this card, and it's like a MasterCard that you can use over the phone. So that's one of the reasons for doing it. But the biggie, and this is what you need, for repairing your credit file, they will also have a service which is free, which is called a Credit Builder service. And what you can do is you can get them to send you a credit agreement. So you apply for the Credit Builder service, and what they will do is they'll send you through the post a written credit agreement which you sign to say that they're going to lend you £60 and you're going to pay that back over 12 months at a rate of £5 per month. Okay? That's what you do. That's what you sign up to. Now, the card is going to cost you £5 per month regardless. But by signing that agreement, what it does is it actually registers it with the credit reference agencies. So it shows that you've borrowed some money, and every time you make a payment, it increases your score. Can you see how that works now? Good stuff or great stuff? Useful. So no matter who you are, you can all do something now. So when you go shopping right now, how do you buy your things? What do you use to pay for your shopping and your fuel and food and all that kind of stuff? Debit card. Okay. Cash point card. So what I want you to do is I want you to write down on a piece of paper right now, debit card. Write the word debit card down. Okay? Everybody do this. And I want you to change the letters around once we've done this, Because I want to help you remember why it's not good for you. Because if you make a payment with your debit card, what's going to happen? Where's the money going to come from? Straight from your bank account. And what difference will that make, if any, to your credit score? Nothing at all. What I would prefer you to do is when you go to your supermarket now, in fact, let me just make sure you all qualify for this. This is only going to work if you use either fuel or food on a regular basis. Who uses either of those items? Any kind of fuel or food. Right. We all qualify then. So you'll go shopping, yeah? You go to Tesco or wherever for your food. What are you going to use now? Not your debit card, what are you going to use instead? Your credit card. Why? The reason being is, when you pay with your credit card, and you put your PIN number in, the money will be lent to you by the credit card company. So you've borrowed money. Could only be £50 or £100. It's going to be a small amount of money. When they lend you the money, you've entered into a credit agreement. You can then pay that money off just 5 days later. Okay? Using your debit card, but you've paid that money off. What does that do you think, to your credit rating? It's increasing. Why? Because you paid it off. So you borrowed money and you paid it off. Okay? So they've lent you £50, you've paid it off. So that's going to improve your credit score. And you can do that month in, month out. Right, you've all written down the word debit card, yeah? If we change the letters around, what does it spell? Starts with B. So take the B. And then the letter A. So scrub it out of debit card. And then D. Have you all got this? Then a space. Bad credit, you've got it. C-R-E-D-I-T. So it actually spells, if you move the letters around, it actually spells bad credit. Can you see that? Moving the stuff around. So use that as a reminder as to why debit cards are no good for you. So instead of using your debit card to pay for stuff, use your credit card. Reason being, you're borrowing money, you're paying it back, it's improving your credit score. Is that useful? Yeah. You should all do that. Who here has got multiple businesses, for example? Let me give you another reason why you should do it. Okay, if you've got 3 or 4 businesses and you're just using your debit card or even one credit card, when the expenses come in, so you're out and about doing different things for your different businesses, you're spending things on your business on your day-to-day basis using your debit card or whatever, when the receipts come in, your accountant has then got to sort of assign which expenditure to which business. If you've got 5 businesses, have 5 credit cards. Personal credit cards, not business ones, and I'll explain why, but 5 personal credit cards. So business 1, use credit card number 1. Business 2, use credit card number 2. So when your statement comes in, you know exactly which business it's going to be assigned to. So it's an accountant's friend as well. So there's all sorts of benefits and reasons for you doing this. And by the way, use a personal credit card, not a business credit card, if you've got a limited company. Why? It's not the liable thing, but what's going to happen, so that the business credit card, where does the credit score get affected there? On the business. And that's no good for you as an individual. It's a great way if you've got a business credit card and you need to borrow some money, use it to borrow some money. But don't use that for your day-to-day expenditure. It's not going to make a difference to your credit score. Okay? Everybody okay with this so far? Yes, sort of. Okay? Anybody struggling with this? Let me know, because I'll go over it again. So what I want you to do is think about spending your money, your day-to-day money on a credit card, and then pay it off straight away. So just it's an extra step into your day-to-day living. So you're going to still buy the same stuff, use your credit card and pay it off. What I don't want you to do is use your credit cards to go and buy fancy new plasma screen TVs, cars, holidays and lifestyle stuff that's not going to pay you back. They're liabilities. You're only going to buy assets with it, stuff that you're going to keep on there. Okay? So if you've got a credit limit of £500 and you're using £400 of it, you can all spend £400 in a month, can't you? Yes? If you were to phone that credit card company up and say, listen, my credit limit's not big enough, is there any chance you can make it bigger? What are they likely to say if you maintain your payments? Yeah, of course they would, and why not? You're using it, you're responsible up to that limit, so they want you to get yourselves into more debt, so they're going to raise the limit up. Let's say you've got a credit limit of £20,000, but you don't use it. So you've got £20,000 available. If you phone them up and said, could I have £50,000 please, what are they likely to say? No. In fact, has anybody ever had a £20,000 or more limit and you've not used it and then they've reduced it? They've actually taken that limit off you. Who's had that happen to them? Okay, so write this down. Use it or lose it. Because if you're not using the facility, you're going to have it taken away from you. Now, I know some of you are still fairly nervous about that, and that this is totally standard, by the way, but I want you to remember this and write this one down. It's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. Okay? Banks will only ever lend you money when you don't need it. As soon as you need it, they're not interested anymore. Does this make sense? So they will take it away from you. Do you know there's a certain date in the month? Do you know when they will actually reduce that credit limit? You know, if you've got a 20,000 limit and you don't use it, they're going to take it away from you. Do you know when they do that? It's always the same. No, it's the day before you need it. Always. Why is that? I don't know how they know this, but they all seem to do that, okay? It's true. So, get it up there and use it. Get it up there, use it a lot. Now, you can all spend £300 or £400 a month to get your limit up to your £500 limit, can't you? But could you, if you've got a £20,000 limit, could you then spend 18, 19, £20,000 a month and pay it off? You can all spend it, I'm sure, but could you then pay it off again? Could you do that? Yes, you can. I'll show you how. If you had 3 credit cards, and each of them have got a credit limit of £20,000 on them, how much have you got in total? 60. So could you use all of those in 1 month and pay it off? How would you do that?
Transferring from card to card.
Spot on, you've seen this before. I need 3 willing volunteers. Who's it going to be? You've got to be sexy. Come on to the front then. I want 3 sexy people. Bring your credit cards with you. We've got a terminal as well, don't worry. Bring your PIN number. I'm joking, we're not going to do that really. But bring your credit cards, make it up if you want. So we have 3 sexy people, brilliant. Let's give these people a round of applause. Awesome, well done. Well done. Yeah, bring your credit cards, okay? So, it's very brave of somebody to come up on stage with their credit cards, isn't it? But I like it. I appreciate the trust. Okay, so what I want to do now is I want to treat this as if this is just you individually. I'm speaking to every single one of you now, one-on-one. And these 3 people are not 3 people, but your 3 credit cards that I said that you're going to all get, okay? So this is going to be your transaction. Did you know, by the way, that you can transfer money between credit cards? Did you all know this? Does it have to be your credit card? No. So any one of you, and feel free to come up to me afterwards, you can transfer your balance onto my credit card. Feel free, okay? And I will allow anybody to do that if it's going to help you, okay? So, we have 3 people here, and this is going to be a case study. This is something that you're going to do yourself. So these are your 3 credit cards. So, what I want you to do is, and it could be 3 different people, it could be 3 friends, but just get the concept here. So what I want you to do is, we've got a microphone actually. Has anybody got a microphone? So what I want you to do is introduce who you are and the name of your credit card, okay, what the credit limit is, and how much you've got available on there. So if it's with Barclaycard, it's a Barclaycard, you've got a £10,000 limit, you've spent £8,000, so you've got £2,000 available. And when they read these out, thanks Roger, when they read this out, I want you to all write these numbers down, okay, because we're going to do some sums on this. So this is a little bit of advanced maths now, okay, so we're going to stretch your mind just a little bit. So, Karen, what's your name?
Karen.
Well done, congratulations. So, who's your credit card, what's your limit, and how much have you got available?
Right, I've got a Capital One card, and I've got 1,500 limit, and
Okay.
I think I'm up to about 900.
Okay, so how much have you got available?
So 600.
600. Can you all write this down? Okay, so we've got £600. £1,500 limit, spent 900, £600 available. Thank you, Karen. So, Farhan, what's your name?
My name is Farhan.
Correct, well done. Okay, so, what have you got?
I have a Tesco club card,
Brilliant.
credit card. I've got a £2,000 limit,
Okay,
and I've spent 1,900 on it.
1,900. So, how much have you got available?
100.
£100 left. Okay, perfect. So, we've all got this so far, yeah? How much have we got so far available? 700, spot on. And Karen, what's your name?
Karen.
Well done. They're good at these.
Mine's Tesco Bank.
Okay,
I have 7,000 available, and I do what you've just been saying. I pay mine off every month
perfect.
by
So-
minimum order.
So it's a 7,000 limit, you've got 7,000 available?
Yes, but I
Awesome.
spend around £700-800 a month on food and petrol.
Brilliant, and then you pay it off straight away. So you're doing it exactly as we teach, which is brilliant. So, everybody, how much have we got? So this is just one person, this is just you with your 3 credit cards. How much have you got available in total? Who can tell me? 7,700. Are you all okay with this? Okay? What would you prefer that figure to be? 20,000. This is how we're going to do it. Because what we're going to do is we're going to phone these credit cards up and we're going to say, listen, can you increase the limits? But before we do that, we've got to make sure that we're using it. Now, Karen here has got a limit of 7,000. How much does she use on a monthly basis?
800.
Only 800. So are they likely to increase it? Maybe, maybe not, because she's not using it right up to the limit. Why would they increase it if she's only using £700 or £800? She's only using 10% of the credit facility. So what could she do instead? Use the whole lot. Exactly right. And this is how she's going to do it. She's not going to spend £7 or £8,000 on food. Look at her. Okay, that's never going to happen, is it? Okay. So, or fuel. Okay. Maybe alcohol, that's another thing, but there we go. I don't know. Okay, so, but could Karen pay off one of their credit cards, or indeed both of them? Okay, so how much do you need to pay off your credit card, Farhan?
1900.
1900. How much could she pay off of that? All of it? More. Could you pay off more than there's actually outstanding? Yeah, so it could be actually in credit. Did you know you can pay off more than there is outstanding? So what's his credit limit? 2,000. He's borrowed 1,900. How much is she going to pay onto his credit card? 2,000, maybe a little bit more. Could you pay 2,500? You'll see in a minute. 3,500. If she was to pay 2,500, by the way, most credit cards allow this. Not the credit builder ones, they generally don't do that. But most credit cards allow this. Sometimes you've got to phone them up first to let them know. But maybe Farhan wants to go and buy something for £2,500. If he's only got a £2,000 limit, he can't do that unless he puts 500 on it first. He's now got 2,500 available. Does that make sense? So he's going to phone him up and say, listen, I'm about to pay off 2,500 over my credit card. What's his credit card company then going to say? They're not going to freak out because they're going to be happy because they've lent him £1,900 and what's he done? He's paid it back and then some. So are they going to be happy with that? Do you remember your friend, you lent them a tenner and they paid you back 15 quid? You're going to want them to borrow more money, aren't you? Because it's easy money for you. Same thing's happening here right now. So they're going to say, listen, that's quite a big sort of difference. What's going on? Okay. What's the question they're going to ask?
What do you want to use the money for?
Maybe, but it's not so much about that at this stage. They're just bothered about the flow of money. They're not bothered about where it's coming from. It's a key thing. Would you like to increase the limit? So they'll probably contact you now and say, would you like to make your limit even bigger? And you go, duh, yeah, that's why I've done it. Okay? So, fine, are you happy if Karen pays off your credit card?
Absolutely.
Perfect. I'm not going to ask Karen because it doesn't matter. Okay? So, that's cool. Are you feeling comfortable about this? Very generous of you. And then what about yourself? How much is outstanding on this credit card over here? 900. So how much could we pay off that credit card?
The other 3.5.
Yeah, so she can top it up even more. So we've got the facility over here to pay off both of these credit cards and then some. So how much is Farhan's credit card going to be? Well, you've paid off 2,500, but the credit card will probably play a little bit bigger than that. So what are they likely to give you a credit limit of? 5,000? Maybe more. Okay. So let's say 5,000. Are we all happy with 5,000? So we've increased it by 3,000. Is it Karen? Yeah. So what, Karen? So what was your credit limit again? Remind me. 1,500, and you're using 900. So how much is Karen going to pay off her credit card? 2,000, say. Okay? Same conversation. What's her credit limit now going to be? 3, 4, 5,000 probably again. So it's probably going to be double or more, somewhere like that. So we've now got all this money available over there. What can we now do a third time? Can we pay the money back to Karen? You'd be happy to get your money back, wouldn't you, Karen? Okay? So what we're going to do now is we're going to pay how much back onto Karen's card? Because she had a limit of 8,000, remember? We've now got a 5,000 and a 5,000 all paid off, all clear and free. So we can put 10,000 onto her credit card. So we've actually now overpaid her credit card, so she's got quite a lot of money available. And then we can keep doing the whole thing over and over again. I want you to understand that credit cards, they're not bothered where the money's coming from or where it's going. It's about the flow of money. That's all they're bothered about. If money's moving, they've got the ability to move things about and raise limits and so on. So could this happen? How quickly would you do this? Every 5 days. Okay? Leave things 5 days to clear. That's typically how long it's going to take. So could you do this 2 or 3 times in a month? Yeah. And every time you do that, it's likely to do what to your credit limit? So how much money have we got? How much did we have available before? 7,700, yeah? So how much has Karen's card gone up from? 7,000, what would they put it up to?
10, 11.
Right, Peter, what was your credit card when you started? You said it before? 3,000 and it went up to?
15 and then I went to 20.
20. So it went from 3,000 to 15,000 to 20,000 by doing this exact same exercise. Okay, well, because you didn't use it, yeah?
No.
Okay, so there's a lesson there as well. So his has gone from 3,000 to 15,000 to 20,000. So what's Karen's going to go to, potentially? At least 20,000 maybe, okay? And their credit cards might go up by even more. So potentially what could their combined credit limit be right now? 50,000 maybe, okay? Who knows? It's going to be somewhere between probably 20 and 30, 40,000 pounds, something like that. Just by moving money around, okay, and making a cheeky phone call to the credit card company. Good stuff or great stuff? Should we give these people a round of applause? Well done. Awesome. Thank you. Well done. So, can you see the power and why you need to be moving money around now? Now, I've worked in call centres before. I understand how these things work. And what happens is when you phone the credit card company up, it's your local call centre based in India, and they will be answering the phone on behalf of multiple credit cards. And they'll be plugged into a computer screen like battery hens, okay? And when you phone a particular number, it'll route it through to the operator that's been idle the longest. So it's a really efficient system. And they'll answer the phone with, "Hi, thanks for calling." And then it'll flash up on the screen, "Barclay card, Julie speaking, how can I help you?" Then your details come up because you've gone through the security checks. And it'll have a whole history on there of your last 3 conversations. And it'll have a few stats about your credit card. So it'll have all sorts of bits of information about what the credit limit is and everything about you as well. The last 3 conversations you had with them, there'll be a small, like a Twitter message, there'll be 2 lines of information, just a brief summary of what the last call was about. Okay? And that's important to know. So what's going to happen is that when you phone them up, they're going to know a little bit about previous conversations. And they're all going to see everything about what your credit card is about. So we'll come back onto that in a couple of minutes. So, once you've got your credit cards and you start moving money around, what I want you to do is make sure that you've got a good suite of credit cards. I want you to all aim to have at least 2 or ideally 3 credit cards, okay? So if you've only got 1 at the moment, get another one. That's your homework for tonight, okay? This is nervous, I know, but listen, it's not going to cost you anything if you don't use it. Karen? Yeah, I can. You can absolutely do it between your own cards or other people's cards. Is there going to be a balance transfer fee when you do this? Yes. What did I say before? Don't ask the price of the shovel when you're digging for gold. Okay? Guys, don't sweat the small stuff. A lot of people focus on the little things. That's why you're playing small. Okay? If you're going to make $1 million over the next 12 months, is it worth incurring a few $1,000s worth of fees and charges along the way? Of course it is, yeah. So just look at the bigger picture. Don't focus on the cost. Focus on the value of this. So what I want you to do is focus on getting some credit cards. If your credit score is really good, then the best place to go for me is moneysupermarket.com. Okay, you probably can't see that at the top, but moneysupermarket.com is a price comparison website. You can buy car insurance on there, house insurance, personal loans, credit cards, all sorts of different things. So you're going to go onto here and you're going to click on the finance section, and then under the finance section you're going to click on credit cards. And then there's lots of different categories of credit cards that you can get. Does anybody know what those categories are? Different categories. See, I'm just testing you all awake, that's why. Okay. Okay, percentage rates. So you have purchase credit cards. You'll have 0% balance transfer credit cards. You'll have cashback credit cards. All these different types of things. What is the one thing that we're looking for at the moment, do you think? 0% on balance transfers. Okay. So who's carrying a debt at the moment on a credit card? Who's already got money outstanding? And what's the interest rate you're paying on that?
0.
0. Well done. 0. Any advances on 0? Who's paying interest on the credit cards? How much? You don't even know. Interesting, okay. 12.9. Okay, any advances? 30 to 40%. So you're paying interest on your money. 30 to 40% is almost half of the money you borrowed you're paying back in interest. Think about how much money that's going to add up to. So, if you go for a 0% balance transfer card, how much is your money going to cost you now? Nothing. So if you've got a credit card already carrying debt, could you transfer that balance from where it is onto a 0% balance transfer card? Of course you can. And that's your first job. You're going to do that to save you some interest. So I'm going to save you some money straight away. Could you pay off personal loans with that? Could you pay off your mortgage with that? Why not? If you've got enough of a credit limit, you can now convert your mortgage into an interest-free credit agreement. How cool is that? Okay.
They do limit you.
Who limits you?
The credit card company.
Do they?
Yeah, because I've rang before and
Right, just hold your thought. Stop your language. Time out. Shh, shh. Be careful what you say. You've got to watch your language nowadays because you're leading yourself into a limiting belief situation right now. The person that taught me this used to be broke, okay? He now has 40 credit cards. One of those credit cards has a limit of £1.4 million. Don't tell me you get limits. I'll show you why you get limits, but I'll show you also how to overcome those as well, okay? So it's a limiting belief that you've got there because just lack of understanding. Yes, because you've done it wrong. I'll show you what to do. I'll show you what to do, okay? Stick with me on this one. I know where you're coming from, but I just don't want to go down that way, okay? So you can get as much money as you want for as long as you want, for as low as you want as well, okay? Just get this concept, but you've got to go through a process of using it heavily, okay? So the first thing to do is get yourself a 0% balance transfer card. Balance transfer any debts that you've got already onto that credit card. Typically, how long would that 0% balance transfer last for?
18 months.
More. It's nearly 4 years now. If you do a search, if you go into moneysupermarket.com, this is another homework for you. Write it down. This is something else you're going to do. You're going to be busy tonight. I did say you're going to be busy. Go to moneysupermarket.com and search for the best 0% balance transfer credit card and see how long you can get. 36 months, 40 months, and close to 48 months, right there, right at the moment. People are desperate to lend money out to you. Organizations are. Why would a credit card company or a bank want to give you so much money at 0%? What's going to happen at the end of the 3 years for normal people? You know it. You're going to stick with it. The interest is going to go up, and some people don't even know what interest rate they're paying because the banks have just fooled you into thinking you're safe. So you're just making your regular payments. Life gets in the way, and la 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 la. You just pay monthly payments. It's part of life now, isn't it? It's normal. Everybody does the same thing. Take control of the situation, guys. Who's responsible for this, by the way? You are. Have an internal locus of control. We'll talk about this on the 3-day event. Have control for your own things. And let me just give you a bit of a word of warning here and a bit of a disclaimer. It's your responsibility to be really organised with this. You must get organised. Have a spreadsheet in place, okay? Get a list of dates of all the credit cards you've got, the limits, the dates, when payments are due and so on. Put entries in your diary so you never miss a payment. Set up the minimum monthly payment to come out. So at least by default, if you forget to make a payment, it's going to come out. But it's your responsibility. If you get this wrong, it'll screw up your credit file quicker than anything else. If you get it right, it'll improve it quicker than anything else as well. Quick question.
I do it on direct debit, so it's all.
Yeah, that's what I just said, yeah? So set it up on a regular basis. But what we're going to do is we're going to move it more and more often than that, okay? Good stuff? Or great stuff? Last question. Hold your questions and we'll do questions at the end.
Is this still good for when you've more or less maxed out your credit?
Yeah, I'm going to show you that one as well, okay? So if you've totally maxed out your credit cards, the thing is, if you've got 3 or 4 credit cards and you've got a total combined limit of £50,000 and you've borrowed £50,000, which is where you're at, and I don't know what the amount is, okay? So you've got a debt ratio that's quite high, a 1-to-1 debt ratio, okay? So you're 100% committed. Lenders don't like that for obvious reasons, okay? So what you need to do is you need to get that down to about 50%. So what's the quickest way of doing that? Well, you could pay off half the debt, couldn't you? But that's difficult, because if you could have done that in the first place, you probably wouldn't have got into debt. What would be the other way of doing it? Increase your credit limits. So if you've got a combined credit limit of 50,000, you're borrowing 50,000. If you go through the process that I'm going to teach you right now, you can get the credit limit increased to potentially 100,000. And if you get your limit at 100,000, you're borrowing 50,000, you've only got a 50% debt ratio. Does that make sense? So they're more inclined to lend to you moving forward as well. Okay? Are you getting this now? Is this starting to sort of sink in? So some people are still nervous, I sense that, but some of you, the penny's starting to drop, okay? So you need to take control. What I want you to do is get a spreadsheet, get a piece of paper. In fact, get yourself a blank piece of paper right now. Everybody get a blank piece of paper, because I'm going to get myself and the coaches are trained in this as well. We will work with you on this one. If you want us to, let us help you with this, okay? I want you to write down at the top of your piece of paper, my credit card strategy. Okay, and we'll coach you through this. I'm going to give you some homework tonight. If you do this, I'll work with you tomorrow. Any one of you can come and speak to me tomorrow. This is an ideal thing to go through the VIP events as well, by the way. So right at the top, my credit card strategy. And then what I want you to do is write down credit card number 1, okay? Write down who it is, and then all the details, the limit, the balance, payment dates, interest rates, okay? Then leave a space, and then credit card number 2, and so on. Or do one per piece of paper. But I want you to get a whole sort of summary of all the credit cards that you've got. So go through this and do this as your homework, okay? So you need to know what the limit is, how much you're borrowing, and what the interest rates are. Because we're going to change this. We're going to improve it in every case, okay? So you're all going to do that as your homework. So what we're going to do is, I want you to have a combination of 2 or 3 credit cards. Once you've got 3 credit cards, you can now do what I've just taught on stage using these 3 lovely people, the 2 Karens, okay? And that's exactly what you're going to do. Dead simple. Does this make sense? So what you need to be doing is getting organised, knowing where your credit cards are up to, making the balance transfers between each one, and each time you do that, it's going to show that you're a responsible borrower because you've overpaid what you've borrowed in the first place. Yes? So you're going to start off by just using your credit cards regularly rather than your debit cards. And then once you start to do that on a regular basis, you're going to start using it up to the limits. We're going to start increasing your limits all the time. If you don't use it, you're going to lose it. Peter's just explained now. So what's your credit limit now? It went from 3 to 15 to 20, and today it is?
I think it's 12.
It's come back down to 12. So you've not used the 20, so they've got a little bit nervous and they're taking it off you again. So you've got to use it or lose it, guys, okay? So stay on this. You've got to keep moving the money around. Don't go out and buy things that's going to cost you money, but keep balance transferring it, because otherwise you're going to lose that facility. Now, Scott said this before, but how often does the deal of a decade come around? Every single day. Now imagine this. You had an opportunity to invest in a property deal, okay? And the guy that taught me this had exactly the same experience. He had the opportunity to buy a piece of land, which he did for about £240,000 sterling in the UK, okay? He bought a plot of land. How did he pay for it? With his credit cards. He did nothing with it for 2 years. And he knew the town boundary was going to expand, and when it did, he then got planning permission on it. When he got planning permission on it, he then got planning permission, okay, that was the first thing, and then he sold that same plot of land to Persimmon Homes for £8.4 million. Think about this, guys. So when you're thinking about, oh, I don't need to do it, right, have a word with yourself. Might not need to do it right now, but if you had that opportunity come by in the future, and you didn't do this, and you wish you had it done, then you'd be kicking yourself, wouldn't you? So if you had the opportunity to invest in something that's going to grow like that, then you wanted to be there for it. Does this make sense? So do this. It makes absolute sense to do it. If you don't, you're going to kick yourself for doing it. So what you're going to be aiming to do is take your credit cards, get a portfolio of credit cards, and then you want to start to upgrade them as well. Now, I've talked about credit builder cards. They're right at the bottom. Standard credit cards are what most people's got. Who's got credit cards now? Just take your credit cards off and take your credit cards out and show me what you've got. I want to know what type of credit cards we've got. Okay? Because there's all sorts of different ones out there. I'm going to give you some great examples of what's good. So who's got a credit card? Wave it in the air. Tell me what we've got. What have we got over there? So that's MasterCard with M&S. Brilliant. Okay. We've got Barclaycard Visa. Is that Platinum?
Yes.
I think it is. So he's got a Platinum card. We like Platinum. We've got a Halifax one there, yeah? MasterCard.
MasterCard, yeah.
Perfect. And the one behind the gold one, what's that? HSBC. Is that a gold card or is it just gold in colour? It's just a Visa, standard Visa, okay? What have you got there? A Barclays, okay? Halifax MasterCard. Platinum MasterCard as well, okay? See how I'm getting excited with Platinum, okay? Everybody, I want you to say, I love Platinum. Okay, why do we love Platinum so much? Platinum cards are like a standard card, but generally get higher limits, lower interest rates, better transfer fees, and a few more benefits that comes along with it as well. Okay? There's one better than a Platinum card. Does anybody know what that is? It's the black cards or the diamond cards, okay? Freedom cards. So different banks call them different things. Okay? I call them the diamond cards because diamond is a freedom type card, isn't it? Okay? It's the top of the range. So if you've got a diamond card, rather than a standard card or a platinum card, you get massive limits. This is where you get 7-figure limits or unlimited limits sometimes as well. You get all sorts of perks and benefits. Has anybody got one of these cards? A black card or freedom card or anything like that? Has anybody got one? Would you like to get one of these? Would you like to know how? You need to have a perfect credit score, okay? And you need to have an income of at least 70 or 80,000 pounds coming in, or 70 or 80,000 pounds in the bank. Feza?
I've got a black card actually with T24.
T24, I've not heard of that one. Who's that? Which is the lender? Who's that? Okay. Oh, I don't know about that one. That's cool. So T24, that's a new one to me. NatWest have a great one. It's called the NatWest Black Card. And I've coached people this a lot of times. And typically what happens is the first person that I coached this went to their bank manager and said, I want to apply for a black card. Bank manager in NatWest. What did the bank manager say, do you think?
I don't know what that is.
Exactly. What black card? Even the bank manager didn't know it existed. Okay? I've had another girl. She was actually a stripper, funnily enough. She makes £20,000 a month. Okay? She came through a training, but she realised that she's not always going to have a body, so she needs to invest in stuff. So she went to a bank and said, he said, how do you even know about this? It's by invitation only. So if you want to apply for something and somebody says it's by invitation only, what would you then say? Invite me. Send me an invitation so I can apply for it, okay? So you've got to be a bit cheeky with this, and you've got to ask for things sometimes. If you don't ask, you don't get. But if you've got yourself a diamond card, then you get a concierge service with it. And my friend was telling me this story, and it's quite funny, because he's got a daughter. Remember when Take That relaunched a few years ago? About 4 or 5 years ago. And all the girls were going mental for it. Ladies, who went mental for Take That a few years ago? You know who you are. Okay, I can spot you. Okay? Well, the tickets sold out within about 15 minutes, didn't they? Okay? Well, my friend's daughter phoned on his black card, phoned the concierge service up, said, I'd like to order some tickets for the Take That concert that's now fully sold out. Yes, madam, of course, no problem. Where would you like them delivered to? Okay? So she bought 8 tickets. There's a 20% surcharge, okay, so you're paying the privilege for this, but she got 8 tickets. She only needed 2, so what did she do with the other 6? Sold them at a 200% markup, so she's got hers for free. Okay? So there's all sorts of things. If you want something right now, if you want a pizza delivered to your lap, phone the concierge service, they'll organise it. So there's all sorts of benefits that come with this, so have a bit of fun with it. It just gets you upgrades in airports, VIP lounges, business class upgrades and all sorts of things. Now, the other thing to consider is, as you're making your day-to-day purchases on a daily basis, we've talked about a balance transfer card and why you need that. I want you to also think about having a purchase card, okay? So you're going to get another credit card, you might have it already, or a new one that you're going to use to buy stuff with, okay? What's the interest rate going to be on your purchase card?
0%.
Nope. They're going to charge you something. It could be, actually doesn't matter what it is, okay? But there will be a charge to it because your purchase credit cards will have an interest rate attached to them. But why does that not matter? Maybe you're going to pay it off. How are you going to pay it off? By balance transferring it to your 0% card. So if you do need to buy something new that you need to keep a balance for whatever reason, buy it with your purchase card and transfer it onto your balance transfer card. So you got it at 0%. Why do it that way? Why would you use that purchase card? What incentives will you get for using the card? Credit rating is one, but what else? Cashback. These cards give cashback and or points. What do points make? We know it. Okay, so get yourself cashback deals as well. So anything that you're going to spend on a daily basis, why not get cashback for it at the end of the year as well? Because it's not going to cost you anything in interest. And think about this. You could use this for your petrol at Tesco. You could use your club card points as well and just double up your points all the time. Just think about what you can get as a benefit. So think about this. We're going to get a range of credit cards now. You're going to have a purchase credit card and a 0% balance transfer card, at least one, okay? You can now move money around them all. You only need 2 to start doing this process. You're going to use your credit cards because it's going to improve your credit score. And you're going to use it right up to your limit because the more you do that, the bigger your credit limit's going to go, okay? So I want you to play with your credit limits all the time, okay? So you're going to play with your cards every month. You're all going to do this. And what's going to happen to your credit limits when you keep playing with them? Yeah, it's going to get bigger, isn't it? Okay? So the more you play with it, bigger it gets. Remember that. Naughty people. Okay. So, we've got the right audience in here, okay? Loving your work, okay? So I know exactly what. So you're going to remember this, yeah? That's the key thing. So keep playing with your credit cards every single month, all right? Live stream, sorry world. Okay, so remember, with your credit limit, you've got to use it or lose it. If you don't use it, it's going to go, like Peter knows right now. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set you a challenge right now. Who is up for a challenge? Who's going to do this? I want more commitment than this. Because if you're not all going to do it, I'm not going to tell anybody how to do this, okay? So, who's going to do this? Right, you guys with your hands up, keep your hands up, have a look around the room. If there's somebody next to you without their hands up, go like that in the ribs, because I'm not going to teach you until all hands are up.
Hey Chris, I'll bet you can get everybody to raise their hand if you put some money reward behind it.
Well, could I do that?
I think we can arrange that.
How much money?
$100.
$100. Right.
Okay. $500.
$500.
To the person who can do the best at what he's about to tell you.
Okay.
Now, how many would be willing to try for $500?
So just doing this is not going to cost you any money. It might take you 5 minutes. You could expand your credit limit. You'll never have to use it. It's not going to cost you any money and you could make $500. Who wants to do this? Yes? Yes or yes? Cool, right. I want you to commit to this because if you do this, it's going to do 2 or 3 things. First of all, it's going to improve your credit limits, credit rating, give you far more opportunities to invest in stuff. That could be through Mob, it could be through anything else. It doesn't have to be for this, but you can see where we're going with this. There's no sort of hidden agenda here, but do it because it's for your own benefit, because you never know when the deal of a decade is going to come along and hit you right in front of your face. Do you? Okay? Secondly, you're going to take away $500 more money as well. Can't get say fairer than that. So what I want you to do is I want you to think about what I've just covered there. And I want you to go into negotiation mode now and start thinking about how you can improve the credit cards you've currently got. So before you apply for any new ones, let's see if we can improve the ones you've got right now. Because if your credit card at the moment is charging you an interest rate, okay, is there a risk to that company that you could take your business elsewhere who's going to give you 0%? So what might they do to keep your business? Decrease yours, your interest rates and also increase your limits as well. That's what we're going to go and do now. So everybody get your credit cards out and just have a look on the back of your credit cards. I want you to look at the phone number that's on there because I'm going to save you some money for the phone call as well. Now, this is about stepping out of your comfort zone, guys. I'm going to reward those that do this. We did this in a group half this size, okay? And between us, over a lunch break on a Friday, and it was about 6 months ago, in this hotel, different room, we raised about £240,000 between us. Okay? I want to increase that. I want to do more than that. I reckon we can raise easily £300,000 by you guys just making a phone call. You're not going to spend this, okay? You're not going to use it, and it's not going to cost you any money. I want to set you the challenge. Okay? You up for this? There's a lot of people still looking very negative with their arms folded. Right? If you're feeling nervous about this, what should you do? Do it anyway. Okay? JFDI. Stop messing about. Okay? And by the way, generally, sometimes people come up to me with excuses as to why they can't do this as well. Just so that you know, there's about 56 excuses people have come up with in the past. And you'll be pleased to know I have an answer for every single one of them. Okay? Save your time, just do it anyway. Okay? Right. Step 1 is you're going to get your credit cards out. Everybody get your credit cards out. Is there a phone number on the back of it? Yes. Phone customer service. Is it something like 0898, like a premium rate number? 08345. Does it also say, if you're outside of the UK, call this number, and it'd be +44 and then 100, right? Drop the 44, add a 0, and you've got a local rate call number. Make sense? So it's going to save you a little bit of money. Another way would be go onto a website called sayno to0870.com. Has anybody heard of this one? Sayno to 0870.com. And it's a website that has got a whole database of phone numbers. So if you've got an 0870 number, which is a premium rate number, if you phone that, it's going to cost you quite a lot of money per minute, especially on a mobile phone. But if you put that number into the website, it will tell you the landline equivalent. It'll get you through to the same department. How cool is that? So, is anybody here gonna or planning to use the excuse, but I've not got the credit card with me? I know you are, right, okay. No excuse. Go on to say no to 0870. If it's Barclaycard, put the name of the company in there, and it'll give you the list of the free phone numbers that you can call, okay? So that's not a valid excuse. Yeah, so say no to 0870. Say no to 0870.com. Okay? So you either put the number in there that you've got, or the name of the company, it will show you the number. And then what you're going to do is, I'm going to give you a script to go through now. So you're going to actually pick up the phone to the person at the other end of the phone, or the other end of the company, and you're going to go through this particular script. So I want you to take good notes now, because you're all going to do this. When are you going to do this? Right now, before you leave the hotel. Commit to this. The doors are being locked. If you want coffee, now's the time, okay? You're going to either have to pay us cash as a bribe or make the phone call to get out of the company, get out of the hotel, okay? I'm messing, we're not that bad. But do it, commit to it before you go, because you never know what's going to happen. So I want you to phone the company up, okay? And what's the sexiest word in the world? Your own name, okay? So use it. So let's pick a name. Let's say Lucy. Lucy's going to pick up the phone right now, okay? So you're going to phone the number that's on the back of your credit card, and Lucy's going to answer the phone and say, "Hi, Barclaycard, Lucy speaking, how can I help?" And you're going to say, "Hi Lucy, how are you today?" Be pleasant. And I'll tell you why you do this. Because remember, every call that you make, okay, they leave notes on the call history about the previous conversations. When I did this very same exercise, I was actually on hold for 20 minutes waiting to get through to my credit card company. And after 20 minutes, they picked up the phone, read the notes, and hung up on me. Because last time, I was Mr. Angry. Because they'd made a mistake. They'd missed a payment and I'd incurred some fees as a result of it. Actually, whose fault was it, really? It was mine, but I was blaming them. So I was ripping shreds into them and complaining and shouting. I was Mr. Angry. So the notes must have said something like, "Oh my God, this guy got on the wrong side of the bed. What an angry man." So whoever picked up the phone after 20 minutes of me waiting didn't want to deal with an angry man, so they hung up on me. Okay? So be pleasant. It was the next person that came along. He was a bit more bold and brash. He thought, "I'll take him on." So I had somebody that was a bit arrogant with me next time. But I started to become nice, and then as soon as that bad call comment disappeared, you're in business then, okay? So be nice with these people. So, "Hi Lucy." She'd say, "Hi, how can I help you today?" So, "Yeah, I'm calling about my credit card. Can you tell me what the annual fee is, please, Lucy?" Okay? So write this down. The first question is, what is the annual fee? Because a lot of credit card companies will charge an annual fee, typically £50 a year or something like that, okay? And you're going to use these words. If she says it's £50, you'll say, "Can you waive that for me, please, Lucy?" Or, "Can you take that off? Can I not pay that? Please get rid of it." So on her computer screen, it'll say your name, the name of the credit card details, and if there's a fee, and then there'll be a little indicator underneath, can she waive it, yes or no? So you're just making her job really easy for her by using the same words that's on the screen, okay? So she's going to ask, you're going to ask, can you waive it? And she's going to say, yeah. Or what might she say? Possibly, okay. And what do you say if she says no to anything as well, by the way? Maybe. Always ask the question why. Don't go why, because that's rude, but ask, well, can you tell me why that is, okay? And if there's a reason that she can't do it that you can maybe overcome, it could be that she's not authorised to do that, in which case you then say, yeah, put me through to the person who can, okay? So, it could also be, when you're having this conversation, has anybody ever experienced a situation where you meet somebody for the first time and you just don't like them? Happens all the time, doesn't it? The same could happen over the phone, can't it? So if that person just doesn't like you, you're not going to get anywhere with them. Maybe they've just been dumped by the girlfriend, okay? Maybe they're just about to go on the lunch break and they can't be bothered speaking to you. Maybe the timing is just wrong. It could be they're brand new in the company and they're not actually authorised to do anything just yet. Identify this, and if you're just not getting on very well, hang up and redial, okay? You get through to somebody that's a bit happier. So, you're going to go through. Can you tell me what the annual fee is? Yeah, can you waive that for me, please? Yeah, no problem. The fee's now gone. True story. This happened. Somebody made this phone call, and the credit card company said, Lucy said, I can only reduce it by £15 a time. So do you know what he did? 3 calls. He hung up, redialed, £15, redialed, £15. So we got it reduced by £45 with 3 phone calls. Okay? So that's one way of doing it. So, what's she then going to say to you? Once she's waived that fee and taken the fee off, what's she going to say next? Is there anything else I can help you with? Yes. Yeah, there is actually, Lucy. The next question is, can you tell me what the APR is, or the annual interest rate, please? So you're going to ask her what the annual interest rate is. And she's going to say it's 19.9% or 26.9% or whatever it is. And you're going to ask the following question, which is what? Can you reduce that for me, please? Okay? So can you reduce the interest rate? And she might say, what would you like it to be? And you're going to say, 0%, please, okay? And why would she do that? Well, say, well, listen, I'm shopping around at the moment and other credit cards are offering 0%. If you don't give it to me, why would I stay with you and I can go to somebody else? So make them realise they're going to lose the business. Don't be hard with them. Negotiate if you want to. They might say, listen, I can't reduce it down to 0%, but I can give you 9.9%. That's cool as well, okay? You've made an improvement. You've halved the money that you're paying out. So just see what you can do with it, okay? So you're all going to do this, yes? So you're going to go through, just reduce the interest rate for me, please, Lucy. Thank you. She's then going to say, what's she going to say? Is there anything else? She's going to start getting reluctant to ask you, but she's going to ask if there's anything else. Yeah, can you tell me what the credit limit is, please, Lucy? Okay? So she's going to tell you the credit limit. It's 15,000, 5,000, 8,000, whatever it is. So you're going to ask, can you increase it? Can you increase that for me, please, Lucy? And she might say, yes. Let's increase it to 20,000, just like that, and it happens, okay? She might, and more likely, say, what would you like it to be? What would you say then? £100,000, please, Lucy. Now, you laughed, she might laugh as well, okay? But go big on this one, okay? Push them as much as you can. Now, I always used to train this and say, ask for 100,000 for 2 reasons. First of all, you never know, you might get it, and it's happened before. Number 2, it's pushing you outside of your comfort zone. Who would feel slightly uncomfortable asking for that much money? Good, that's why you do it, okay? So push yourself hard on this one, and don't be soft. And I'll tell you why, we had an example where we did this just before lunch, and after lunch we had a review. How did you get on with your credit cards? There's this guy sat right at the front where Mark is, and he had a right long face on him. I said, what's up with you? He says, I did what you said. I said, well done. I said, my limit went from 20,000 to 50,000 in 5 minutes. I said, that's fantastic. Why the long face? He says, because I asked for 50,000 and they gave it to me like that. I might have had 100 had they asked. Okay? And it's true. So, ask the question, you never know. So, I would like to maybe say, well, what's the most I can do right now? Okay? So, what could they then say? What are they likely to say? If you want to increase your limit by quite a lot, what are they going to ask you? What do you want it for? Exactly right. So, if you say something like, you can't lie first of all, I don't want you to lie, I don't want you to make anything up, and you've got to be consistent in your answers across all calls that you make as well, because it's all recorded between organisations. But the kind of things that score quite highly, and I'm not putting words into your mouth, but when you apply for different things, or when you're using it for different purposes, it has a different scoring field on their system. And the best one is home improvements, just so that you know, okay? Let me ask you a question. Whether you're renting or not, if you make a load of money with this business, are you likely to improve your home? So you're not lying, are you? Okay? So, and it doesn't have to be your own home as well. Think about it. You could use it for education. Education is key. Are you going to use it for education? Maybe. That's a good thing. A lot of people borrow money to educate themselves. So whatever it's for, that's what you put in there. So you give them a real reason. Don't say it's for business, because it's a personal credit card. They're not going to like that. Definitely don't say it's for investment. That's against money laundering regulations anyway. So you can't use it for those kind of things. So home improvements, education, that's the key thing. Or maybe even paying off for the debts. Consolidation is a good reason for it as well. By the way, if you're applying for a balance transfer card, going back, they might ask you as you're applying for it, and I'll encourage you, rather than to apply, let's just sort of backtrack a little bit. When you are applying for a balance transfer card, rather than applying online, which is what they want you to do because it's cheaper for them as a company, if you can phone them up and do the application over the phone, that's better, because they might ask you, do you have a balance that you want to pay off already? If you have, you tell them, and they might give you a credit limit that's slightly bigger so you can satisfy another debt. If you've not got a debt already, okay, then go for a balance transfer card that will balance transfer money into a bank account. So if you're not carrying a debt, could you transfer a balance straight away into your bank account? Yes, you could. And there's 2 or 3 credit cards that will allow you to do that. Virgin is one, MBNA is another. They might be a good one for you to go to. Okay? So coming back to this, you're going to ask what the credit limit is. You're going to ask to have that increased. Now, it's going to go one of 2 or 3 ways. They might just say yes straight away because they've got a profile of you. If you're using your credit card heavily, as I've taught you to do, you've not been doing that necessarily yet, but when you're doing it, it'll be much easier. But if you're using your credit card heavily, they might just increase your credit limit. That's fine. The second thing that might happen is they might have to do a credit search. Is that okay as well? It is, but they've got to ask you permission first. Don't have any more than 1 or 2 in a month, okay? So unfortunately, we're right at the start of a month right now, so you can only do 1 or 2 now for the rest of this month. But if they're going to do a credit search, that's cool, okay? But don't have any more than 1 or 2 of these at any one time. Now, they might, if you ask for 50,000 or 100,000, they might even say, well, I'm not authorised to do that. So what would you say? Can I speak to somebody who is? They might have to put you through, transfer you through to a different department. So just listen to what they're saying and go with what they're saying. Listen to what is being said. Now, they might say, I'm not authorised to do that. I can only authorise up to a certain amount. So what could you give me today? Just use these words. What could you give me today? And see what you can get out of it straight away. Okay? Now, another true example of something that's happened here. Somebody did this. I was coaching them. In fact, it was this hotel and this room as it happened. And as I was coaching them, they phoned the credit card company. I forget the name of the company now, but they had a limit of £3,000. And they made the phone call, and they went through the script, and they asked for 100,000, and they said, no, I can't do that. All I can give you is 8,000. So he's gone from 3,000 to 8,000. Not bad, yeah? He then hung up the phone and redialed straight away. Same call centre answered, went through to a different person and said, same scripts, can I have £100,000 please? And they said, no, I can't do that, but you've got 8,000 already. And he's thinking, yeah, no, I've just done that. All I can do is give you another 8,000. So he went, I know your question, I can read your mind, okay? He's gone from 3,000 to 8,000 to 16,000 in 2 phone calls in less than 5 minutes. Good stuff or great stuff? This could happen for you as well.
So I hope that gave you some ideas. Now also what you can do is you can talk to your coach and ask them, are there any recommended financing sources available? And Mob as a company, we actually work with several different companies that help people come up with the money to actually invest in their business. So your coach will be able to give you all the details. And what I'm going to do is below this video in the text, I will put instructions on how you can actually apply and see if you qualify too. So that's it for this step. In step 14, I'm going to share with you all the extra perks and rewards that we offer you as a Mob consultant when you get sales. I'm going to share with you how you can get a car, how you can get invited to luxury cruises, win luxury holiday retreats. I'll show you all of that in step 14. And then in step 15, I'm going to share with you how you can make residual income in this business. And I will also share with you a case study of a Mob consultant who made over $1 million in residual income with our business. So today's action steps are, I want you to watch a video that I put below which shares with you some more additional mindset training from me about raising money for your business. And then I want you to talk to your coach and ask them for their ideas, because they do this all day long. They know all the different ways to raise money to start a business. They will have a lot of ideas for you. So tell them what your situation is and ask them, do they have any ideas for you? So that's it. Go ahead, complete these action steps, and I will see you in step 14.